I chose you from all the nations to be mine. Do not follow the rest of the Gentiles, because you are holy to me, because I'm holy. And basically every Jew in this world is a representative of God, even though unfortunately the majority of the Jews have no idea what they live for today. They don't understand the purpose of this creation, the purpose of their life. And obviously when you don't know your purpose, how you be successful? It's impossible. You don't know where you head to, you can obviously not request for direction. So the Torah said that God said, I have the Shabbat. It's in my treasure. It's a special gift. Please go and prepare the nation of Israel to receive the Shabbat. And actually, as we know, that Shabbat was given to the nation of Israel prior to the acceptance of the Torah, which means a very, very important thing. As we read in the Torah in Sefer Dvarim, Deuteronomy chapter 29, Perek Chavtet, this is what it says. It says, I'm making a covenant with you to make you my nation. I am going to be your God as I promised you and I swore to your father Abraham, Yitzchak and Yaakov. Not only with you I'm making the covenant, those who are still not here, which means all your descendants that are going to be born in next generations are subject to this covenant that I'm making with you today here in Mount Sinai. Et asher yeshno po imanu, those who are here with us, and those who are not here with us. Obviously it applies to everybody until this moment. The Torah is for eternity. And in other places in the Torah it says, in Parashat Re'eh, this is what it says, that I am going to reward you, you and your descendants ad olam, for eternity. Which means the reward is tremendous. But also the punishment, unfortunately, can be pretty heavy. And to avoid it, a person has to be educated when it comes to the most important thing in life. The Torah says, Atem reitem, your eyes saw. I'm not coming to tell you a story that happened a few generations ago. Like by the Christians, they come and they tell a story about Yossi. The people who started to tell the stories about him started to say it 70 to 300 years after his death. Which means, you know, there's all kinds of opinions. Nobody ever saw him. You can tell any stories you want. Obviously, there's no way to prove it. So the people wants to buy it or not. It's up to them. But here Hashem referred to the Jews, and this is what he says. Your eyes saw. It's not a tradition, something that passed from generations. All of you here together, you saw that I'm speaking to Moshe, and you saw what I did to the Egyptians for 1 year, 10 plagues in Egypt. I basically destroyed Egypt. I took you out of Egypt. You saw close to 100 miracles. Each one of the miracles you saw with your eyes, which means if one of the details in this Torah is not precise, everything is good. But there is one contradiction. One of the descriptions here in the Torah does not fit reality. It means that, God forbid, there is a mistake in a divine book, which actually would bring us into a very big doubt if God really gave it or not. Once there is a mistake in a book that claimed to be the work of God, how can we rely on the rest of it? How can we trust it? So the answer is, miracles that are against logic, against all odds, took place. The Jews are reviewing the Torah. They're not so anxious to change their lifestyle from A to Z. It's going to cost them money. Some of them have to get divorced. And from this moment on, they're becoming completely religious. 3,100 years until 200 years ago, it was very difficult to find one Jew that was not religious. In every community, in every country, in the exiles, the center of the Jews were the synagogue, the Beis Din, the Jewish court, the yeshiva, the Torah. The rabbis were the head of the communities. Only in the last 200 years, Jews slowly started to leave the Torah and imitate the Gentiles and live free lifestyles with no obligations and ignoring the divine Torah of God. Unfortunately, some of them completely. The Jewish nation lost more than 7 million Jews in intermarriage from the Holocaust until today. The Holocaust is a huge tragedy. Nobody can deny that. and 6 million Jews are died, and we have museums and many books and films, and we constantly talks about it because it's an unbelievable tragedy. But almost nobody mentioned the silent Holocaust. More than 7 million Jews intermarried with the Gentiles against the direct order of God. As God said, do not marry them, not God forbid because they're bad people or they're not good. That's not the point here. The point here, whether they're good, whether they're not good, whether they're rich or poor and intelligent or not so intelligent, it does not matter at all. This is a direct instruction from God, and I have to follow it. He's the creator, I am the creation, and I might as well, for my own benefit, listen to his orders. So obviously, as we can see right now, 7 million people, if you would look at the last 60 years, should have been approximately 40 to 50 million extra Jews in the world. We are only 13.2 million Jews, and this is a real tragedy, and unfortunately hardly anybody mentioning it, and this is something that we have to do today. As we move on, the Torah says, I spoke to you from heaven, you saw everything I did to Egypt, and I'm giving you this covenant, an eternal covenant between me and you. The word Shabbat in Hebrew, it's 3 letters, Shin Bet Taf. Very interesting that Shin Bet Taf, it's abbreviation of Shabbat, Brit, and Tefillin. Shin, Shabbat, Bet, Brit, Taf, Tefillin. 3 mitzvot out of 613 mitzvot are special, unique. What makes them unique? They are the only mitzvot that the Torah mentioned as an ot. Ot means in Hebrew a sign, an agreement, a covenant. This is a sign between me and you that we made that agreement. Shabbat, it says, Ot I beni uvenechem. It's a sign between me and you to know that I created the world in 6 days and in the 7th day I rested. Brit, circumcision, it should be a sign in the orla of every baby, in your body, a covenant inside the body. What is it? Circumcision. Vaya leot bebesar orlatchem. That's what the Torah says. And tefillin, we put it on the hand and on the head, the hand towards the heart. We dedicate the heart and the brain into God's mission here. And what is it? The heart is the source of the evil inclination, the Yetzer Hara, and the brain is where the soul is. So we dedicate the heart and the soul to follow God's instructions. Tefillin, it says, Vaya leot al yadecha. Ot mentioned 3 times in the Torah. Ot for Tefillin, Ot for Brit, Ot for Shabbat. All together, abbreviation, Shin Bet Taf Shabbat, which is the main covenant. This is what the Torah has to say in Genesis chapter 2. Vayechulu hashamayim ve'haaretz v'chol tzeva'am. Heaven and earth rested. Vayechal Elokim bayom hashvi melachto asher asah. And Hashem strike from all His creation that He made in the 6 days, and He rested in the 7th day from everything He's created. Vayevarech Elokim et yom hashvi. And then God blessed the 7th day, vayikadesh oto, and He sanctified it, ki vo shavat mikol melachto asher bara Elokim la'asot, because He made it a spiritual day. He rested from everything He created. And the concept of Shabbat is God comes to His children, the nation of Israel, and say, I want you to be like me. I am holy. I made everything in 6 days, and in the 7th day I rested. It's a special spiritual day. And I want you to rest on the 7th day, not physically necessarily. This is a combination of many things, Shabbat, as we're going to mention soon. And if you're going to keep the 7th day to make it holy and spiritual, that means you are fulfilling your obligation to me, you're fulfilling your share of the agreement. It's an eternal covenant. As we continue, Sefer Shmot, Exodus chapter 20, this is what the Torah says, Zachor et Yom HaShabbat lekodsho. Remember the Sabbath to sanctify it. 6 days you work, and you do all your work, all your activities. And in the 7th day, it's the Sabbath to your God. Do not make any work, you, your son, your daughter, and everything that you own, everything has to rest. Because 6 days God made heaven and earth and the ocean and everything in it.